I'm Damon Edwards. I'm one of the co-founders and one of the managing partners of DTO Solutions. We're a consulting company. We do DevOps consulting, I guess you could say. Is that the word now? And really, it's a combination of two. Really, it's our clients are people who build and operate revenue-producing software-based services. It's kind of a fancy way of saying e-commerce, financial services, online gaming, SaaS. People who, their factory floor is getting ideas out to, customers in some operational environment. Translating those ideas into features that are running in an operational environment, making them money. And their problem is, they need to get those ideas out. So they need to shorten their time to market and get those ideas out quicker so they can get feedback faster from their customers, and they need to stop the outages and get more out of their existing team. So we come in and do two things really. One is sort of the organizational and process level. We help apply a lot of lean principles and systems thinking to help transform the organization and processes to be more effective, and then just a lot of automated infrastructure. Help people get their whole world, both their infrastructure and their software development lifecycle, completely automated.
What are the biggest problems that you're finding in the DevOps movement? And also
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I know it's related directly to DTO, but I think we help solve this, which I think why people call us solve this problem is, DevOps is fundamentally a management problem. It was created by management. It's created by it's an organizational issue, right? And so, it's not a problem with management as much as it's a problem with an organization and their processes, and that's only solved by management, right? And I think a lot of people think that, if I just get Puppet or Chef or some of these other tools, I'm going to solve my DevOps problems, and they don't realize that you can apply new tooling to a broken organization and process, and you're still going to have a broken organization and process. So a lot of it is understanding, the system thinking involved. That this is, fundamentally, DevOps is about solving a system problem. That an organization, an IT organization, from the development side and the operations side, is part of a larger system that has a purpose for the organization, and seeing things through that lens and understanding what the purposes of the integrated organization and how to optimize for the system rather than optimizing individually. So ops folks will think they're solving the problem one way, dev folks will think they're solving a problem in a different way, and they're optimizing locally, but those local optimizations actually sub-optimize or break the overall the system, the big picture problem. So it's getting, I think, the management side involved to understand how do you transform the organization, how do you align by aligning people's incentives towards the common purpose of that organization. How do you streamline those processes to improve the flow of work through the organization, and then how do you then make it so you can turn that crank as fast as possible. So I think, if anything, I think the people tend to get a little bit too focused on tools, and not enough attention is paid to the larger systemic issues. But people do say, it's kind of ironic. It's often said, people say, DevOps, it's a culture problem. DevOps is an organizational problem. But then they just jump right into tools problems. Like, DevOps is not a tool problem, or not a technology problem. But then you come into these events, and everybody just wants to talk about tools and technology. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that, historically, most technologists, we love tools, they love technology, they love interesting gadgets, right? People love gadget blogs and whatnot. And we get excited by technology. And then I think also at the same time, there's kind of a certain amount of street cred you have. The more you know about technology, talk about technology. And then I think even the way IT works as a business now, people pay more for technology specialists, right? And that's an issue because that sort of incentivizes more and more of that tool-driven, technology-driven specification. And if someone comes along and says, I'm an organizational expert, or I'm a process expert, see people laughing like, you must be a project manager, ha ha ha, is that kind of trying to say it in a derisive way. So if anything, I think that shift of focus to see it more from a systemic point of view and more focus on the process and organizational side of things, I think we'll see a bigger impact for DevOps overall.
I hear a lot of people talking about generalists and how more generalists are needed as opposed to the
Yeah,
are
but
so involved.
but see, that's the funny part about it is when they say that, though, they say more generalists, but then they're talking about these we call magic unicorns. This person that has in-depth development experience, but also has large-scale operational experience and understands both sides of the house and all the tools. So when they say generalist, it's not a generalist they need. It's somebody who understands organizational dynamics, process transformation. A lot of the things that like Lean did in the manufacturing world. If you go into a manufacturing plant, the person that knows everything about the Flexitron 3000, bumper welder, that's a repairman, right? The person that, and value goes to the people that know how to organize the factory and the supply chain and how to optimize the system to make the company perform better. Those are the executives. That's the career path forward. But in the technology world, it's all flipped around to where value goes to, you should know more. If you read all 7 of those Oracle books, you get $300 an hour as a consultant. You understand how to optimize, release it, or how to optimize a release process that spans development and operations. It's like, project manager, dime a dozen, right? Yet, if you look at what's important to the organization, the actual commodity is the people that know the tools and technology. The real value is people that know how to assemble that into actually a high-performing organization. The more value to the organization, the more value to the business.
So organizing the repairmen into your...
Yeah, and I don't mean to kind of make it out. I guess I started by repairman, but it is an interesting thing that it's definitely a different view that having excessive knowledge, not excessive, but having deep knowledge about a particular technology doesn't, in other fields, doesn't look at it as something that's going to really help the broader business. But in the IT space, it's kind of flipped around, and people place higher value on technical specialization. And there's a street cred factor. You're the guy who knows everything about it. People are going to walk into your cube, leave you alone. You're the man or woman. Sorry.
Thank you. So you've been involved with Gene's book at all? I know he has a lot of reviewers.
A little bit, yeah.
Or the DevOps book too.
Yeah, sorry, Gene. I actually haven't read it yet. But yes, I have been involved. So I've been involved with Gene through the DevOps movement quite a bit. I mean, I've been involved since one of the early DevOps days, and I helped organize a lot of the DevOps Days conferences. And Gene's been right there from the beginning. He came to our first one in Mountain View and was a panelist, and really contributed. And so from that we've collaborated on a number of different angles.
But if you could wave your magic wand and make the DevOps movement become whatever you want in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, what direction would you like it to go? I guess you sort of covered what needs to be done.
I think we need a more holistic picture of the world. We need to step back and look at it from, that's why I love the title of Gene's, IT revolution, right? That's really what we're talking about. It's fundamentally changing, the DNA of how IT operations, and I mean operations in the COO sense, the broader sense, how it's composed, and how it operates, and that needs to change, and it is changing. But I think we need to take a more holistic view rather than kind of how can we just get better versions of what we had before.
So my last question is just, I've just been asking people. A lot of people seem to have this problem. What do you tell your family that you do?
Yeah, that's a good one. Because it's kind of like there is that idea that, like, when you talk about, how, well, most people don't understand. They see, they go to a website and it's like, I'm clicking on, I'm logging into my Wells Fargo account and checking my balance. Like, isn't that just a computer somewhere that just, they don't realize that this is a complex system. So a lot of people assume, well, don't the computers just take care of themselves? Like, I don't understand what's the problem here, right? So or also you get the one like, my mom asked me to fix her VCR because it's got a computer in it, right? So I try to find that actually, and this is I think the interesting part of it, the more you look towards traditional business ideas and about, hey, look, this is about getting in a digital world, getting products to market faster, being more responsive, being more efficient, getting more out of, having an organization spend less time kind of mucking around in busy work and more time adding value. Or if you use the manufacturing metaphor and say, this is a value chain that starts from an idea and ends where a customer pays you money, and you need to optimize that and make that work as efficiently and reliably and quickly as possible. When you put it in that kind of terms, like, oh, okay, I get it. Even though they don't really understand, what it is we really do and all those kinds of things. And luckily now, terms like cloud, it's like, oh yeah, that new cloud stuff. Like, yeah, well, to make that cloud stuff work, you need to have this sort of new way of running your operations, and that's the stuff we do. So, yeah, it's a little difficult.
Well, thank you for talking.
No problem.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah.